The drama begins when young Bile comes running down the street with her two friends, ready to get into another one of those fights that already seem like part of her routine. On the other side, a group of girls is waiting for them, convinced that because they outnumber them, they will win without any problem. But underestimating Bile turns out to be their worst idea. She moves with impressive confidence, stands up to them without hesitation, and in no time makes it crystal clear that she is not someone who can be cornered that easily. When it is all over, she and her friends leave with their adrenaline through the roof, as if they had just signed off on one more victory in a very long list. It is exactly on that walk back when Bile sees Choi Dae-hyun for the first time, a guy who at that moment is going through his own romantic disaster. He is in a hurry, still affected by a recent breakup, and ends up running into a girlfriend who leaves him emotionally stranded right there in the street. She tells him he is too soft, too sweet, too little of a man for what she expects, and even uses a noble gesture against him, one that in another story would have been adorable: saving a cat. Dae-hyun, hurt in his pride, tries to throw away the stuffed toy she gave him, as if that could also get rid of the bitter taste of the goodbye. At that moment, Bile and her friends cross paths with him, look at him curiously, and she decides to approach him with that very familiar mix of boldness and confidence. First, she demands that he buy them cigarettes. Dae-hyun, who may be scatterbrained but still has principles, refuses immediately. He tries to continue on his way, but Bile does not let him get away that easily. One thing leads to another, and the conversation becomes incredibly strange, intense, and funny at the same time. He is completely thrown off by the attitude of this girl who does not seem afraid of anything, and she becomes even more interested precisely because of that. In the end, in the middle of a scene that feels like it came from another planet, Bile asks for his number with shocking ease. And to everyone's surprise, he gives it to her. That little encounter lingers like a strange, brief moment, but one that is impossible for either of them to forget. 3 years later, Dae-hyun is fully involved in his family's convenience store. His father gets sick and ends up hospitalized, so he is left practically alone running the business. The store is not doing well, sales are not picking up the way they should, and the pressure of handling everything starts eating away at him from the inside. He is tired, frustrated, and trying to keep everything afloat even though it is clearly too much for him. On the other hand, Bile is still Bile, a young woman who lets no one walk all over her, who keeps dealing with problems in her own way, and who continues causing chaos wherever she goes. So when Dae-hyun decides he needs to hire someone to help him at the store, fate crosses his path once again with that girl from the street who never really left his mind. Bile walks into the store and bluntly announces that she has come to apply for the job. Dae-hyun recognizes her instantly and is flooded with embarrassment as he remembers how awkward and strange everything was between them the first time. His first instinct is to reject her, because he feels like someone like her can only bring trouble. But Bile is not the kind of person who accepts a no so easily. She moves around the store with ease, creates activity, attracts customers, and changes the atmosphere of the place in no time. Dae-hyun, despite resisting, ends up giving in. He hires her, but makes it clear that it will only be on a trial basis and that there will be strict rules. Bile accepts without hesitation, because beyond the job, she has a much more personal reason for being there. The first major misunderstanding between them does not take long to arrive. After one of her first shifts, Dae-hyun finds money in his pocket, and when he checks the cash register, he thinks cash is missing. That leads him to suspect that Bile stole from him. He lets distrust get the better of him and decides to follow her to her neighborhood, where he discovers that she lives in a rough area, surrounded by troublesome people and heavy environments. In the middle of the confusion, he even ends up getting into trouble with the police. Convinced that she kept the money, he directly accuses her. But when he returns to the store, he finds all the cash back in the register, neatly arranged and counted with precision. The next day, a police officer exposes him, and it comes to light that Bile took that money to help her mother, but later returned all of it. She does not play the victim or make a scene. She simply makes it clear that she did not like him following her and that she does not plan to put up with another lack of trust like that. Dae-hyun feels bad and decides to apologize. He does it in his own way, somewhat clumsy but sincere, and Bile accepts with a condition that shows exactly how their dynamic works from the very beginning. This time, he will do the hard work and she will allow herself to relax a little. That kind of exchange becomes a constant between them. They are not a couple, not even a stable team yet, but they are already beginning to form a very particular connection, one where arguing, teasing, trust, and care are mixed together all the time. She enjoys getting on his nerves, and he lives pretending that he wants to fire her, even though it becomes harder and harder for him to imagine the store without her. While all of that is happening, Dae-hyun is in a relationship with Yoo Yeon-ju, an elegant, intelligent woman who is clearly from a different social class. He keeps holding on to that romance because he believes it can still work, so he tries to see her, please her, and prove that he can be worthy of her. There is one night when Yeonju invites him to a hotel, and Dae-hyun, full of excitement, thinks it is a romantic date. He gets ready carefully, gets his hopes up, and arrives with his heart racing. But in the end, he discovers that the invitation was simply to work out at the hotel gym. Moments like that keep making him more and more insecure, because even though he loves her, he is always left with the feeling that he is chasing after someone who never fully sees him. At the same time, Bile brings her friends into the store and they turn the place into a kind of improvised party with drinks, snacks, and a lot of noise. Dae-hyun rushes over there determined to fire her once and for all, but when he arrives, he sees her so overwhelmed by the atmosphere, so worn out, and so human in the middle of the chaos that he cannot carry out the punishment the way he had planned. In the end, everyone winds up exhausted, half dizzy, and asleep inside the store. It is precisely in that ridiculous context that Bile confesses to Dae-hyun that she actually came to work there because she is in love with him. He, still half asleep and confused, reacts in an ambiguous way that she interprets as a positive answer. But when she realizes that he is still with Yeonju, anger explodes inside her. She hits him, leaves furiously, and makes it clear that she is not willing to be anyone's secret entertainment. The next day, Dae-hyun tries to carry on as if nothing happened, but the matter does not solve itself. Bile is still carrying his stuffed toy, and the mix of anger and affection has her completely stirred up. Yeonju, meanwhile, starts noticing that Bile's presence at the store is not a simple coincidence. She suspects, pressures, and looks at everything with distrust. Dae-hyun promises that he is going to fire Bile, but the reality is that every time he tries, something happens that stops him. Sometimes because Bile proves through actions that she is valuable to the store, other times because he realizes that the problem is not her, but how confused he is himself. One of those moments arrives when the store almost faces shutdown for selling cigarettes to a minor. No one can find the exact moment on the security cameras, and the situation becomes extremely complicated. But Bile does not just stand there watching. She sends her friends to look for the boy, finds him, pressures him into saying the exact date, and comes back with the information needed to review the recordings more accurately. Thanks to that, Dae-hyun is able to clear up what happened and save the business. Instead of receiving any big thank you, Bile only gets him piling work on her as if nothing happened. Even so, that episode reminds Dae-hyun of how he used to feel when people squeezed him dry without valuing his effort, and little by little he starts to soften toward her. He no longer sees her as just a walking disaster. He begins to see her as someone who, even if she does everything her own way, always ends up holding the store together when it needs her most. In the middle of that change, a much warmer side of the relationship between them appears. There are simple, small moments, like when Dae-hyun dances alone celebrating that the store is still open, and Bile catches him. Then he sees her on the cameras imitating those same steps when she thinks nobody is watching. Without realizing it, the two of them begin to share a strange complicity that only they understand. The store stops being just a workplace and becomes a small universe where, at times, they can forget the rest of the world. There, they laugh, tease each other, help each other, annoy each other, and little by little build a routine that starts joining their lives together without either of them wanting to admit how much. Another key moment happens when three boys begin coming into the store to behave rudely and then steal products. Bile watches at first, holds herself back, but when she confirms that they have been taking advantage of Dae-hyun's business for a long time, she decides to act. She follows them to their hideout, confronts them, and teaches them a good lesson, forcing them not only to return what they took, but also to admit exactly everything they stole. A young man records part of the scene, she catches him, and makes it crystal clear that he had better keep quiet. Bile tries to keep Dae-hyun from finding out, but that side of her personality comes out again. When someone touches what is hers, or the people she cares about, she does not sit back with her arms crossed. During that same time, Yeonju begins having more contact with Bile, and from the very first moment she judges her from above. She sees her as a girl who does not fit into Dae-hyun's world, as someone too chaotic, too direct, and too popular in the space that she considers hers. That distance becomes even more noticeable when the social difference between both worlds comes up. Dae-hyun comes from a simple, hard-working, very ordinary family. Yeonju, on the other hand, belongs to a wealthy, elegant environment that is extremely concerned with status. That weighs on Dae-hyun, even if he does not always say it. It weighs on him that he does not have a car, that he does not understand certain places, that he does not know how to carry himself with the confidence that the men around Yeonju do. And Bile, without even trying, begins to be the perfect contrast to all of that. With her, he never needs to pretend to be more than he really is. On the other hand, the story of Jung-eun Baeol, Bile's younger sister, begins to take shape. Bile dreams of becoming a singer and has the talent to try, but she also has the bad luck of being surrounded by people who are not pushing her in the right direction. She gets trapped in a group of girls who drag her into uncomfortable situations and who even record compromising material that they could later use to harm her if she ever becomes famous. Bile, even though she always seems strong and tough, keeps a very close eye on Bile because she has practically acted as older sister, mother, and protector all at once. That responsibility defines her far more than she lets people see. During an outing to a restaurant, Yeonju ends up being harassed by several girls inside the bathroom. Bile arrives just in time, sees her in danger, and steps in to defend her without thinking twice. But when Daehyun comes running, he misreads the scene and thinks Bile is the one causing the problem. He pushes her to the floor before understanding the truth. That mistake makes him feel awful, but it also reveals how fragile the trust between them still is. Even so, when it becomes clear that Bile was protecting Yeonju, things change a little. Daehyun begins to see more clearly that Bile is not the irresponsible troublemaker she seemed to be at first. Many times, behind her actions, there is a logic of protection that takes him far too long to understand. At that point, Kang Ji-wook enters more strongly into the story, a young, famous, and very handsome actor who has known Bile from before. He appears as someone who truly appreciates her, understands her, and also recognizes her talent beyond her physical strength. He invites her to take part in a conference, and there's something comes out that many people underestimate in her: her mind for sales and marketing. Bile shares ideas, analyzes customer behavior, and proves that she not only knows how to fight, but also how to think very well about how to run a business. Daehyun later finds one of her notebooks full of strategies to improve the store and is left surprised. That discovery hits him differently, because he can no longer keep seeing her as a problematic girl who only came to make noise. He begins to genuinely admire her. That admiration grows when Bile wins Employee of the Month for her sales performance. Daehyun is truly happy for her and brings her flowers, also confirming that she is now a permanent employee. Bile, thrilled, asks him to carry her on his back as a condition for accepting, and he does it with amused resignation. Right then, Yeonju appears and another awkward moment is created that makes the tension between the two women clear. Later on, a photo of Daehyun carrying Bile ends up circulating more than expected and goes viral, causing even more discomfort. What for one person was a joke starts to look, to others, like a closeness that can no longer be hidden so easily. Bile's past also begins to open up little by little. It is revealed that after her father's death, she and Bile were left in a very difficult situation, almost like a burden to the adults who were supposed to take care of them. Instead of growing up protected, Bile had to toughen up far too soon. She ended up working, looking for money, and learning to solve problems on her own that should never have belonged to someone her age. All that toughness that today seems like a natural part of her character actually comes from a need to survive. That is why her relationship with Bile is not just that of an older sister. It is the relationship of someone who sacrificed a huge part of her own youth so the younger one could study, dream, and have some better chance in life. Meanwhile, Daehyun continues going through problems with Yeonju. The silences, the half-truths, and the constant presence of Jo Sung-joon, an elegant, successful man who is clearly from the same world as she is, weigh on him more and more. Even though Yeonju tries to downplay it, Daehyun cannot stop feeling that he is competing against something he cannot match. That insecurity even leads him to spend money on things he does not need, like a car, just to feel less small. But deep down, the emptiness is still there. Bile, on the other hand, always makes him feel like he is enough exactly as he is. And that contrast starts making more and more noise in his heart, even though he still does not want to admit it. The situation gets more complicated when Bile is attacked by some girls and ends up in the hospital because of appendicitis that worsens right in the middle of that same context. Daehyun takes her there, stays with her, takes care of her in his own way, and tells her to see all of it as a paid vacation. It may sound clumsy, but for Bile that gesture means a lot. She is not used to someone staying by her side just because they care. At the hospital, Kang Ji-wook also appears with flowers and more thoughtful gestures, which makes it even more obvious that she has people around her who genuinely value her. Daehyun notices, even if he says nothing to anyone, and that is when jealousy begins to show itself, feelings that until then had been half hidden. During those same days, Yeonju's mother directly humiliates Daehyun in a very painful way. She forces him to make a huge delivery to her mansion, and when he arrives, she offers him money as if he were just a delivery man who could be sent away with bills. Daehyun rejects the money, but the blow to his pride is already done. The difference in status is exposed with no subtlety at all, and he leaves feeling incredibly small. That wound is not only financial, it is emotional. Because he understands that no matter how much he loves Yeonju, her world is never going to welcome him with dignity. Saint Bile, meanwhile, keeps watching everything from the outside, and it hurts her more than she admits. Then another hard blow comes for Saint Bile. She gets scammed out of the place where she was staying, and from one day to the next she becomes homeless together with Eun Bae-yeol. She goes to the police, tries to report it, and they treat her with the same coldness as always. Without money, without a roof, and with the emotional burden of supporting her sister too, she is left completely exhausted. Dae-hyun offers to help without yet knowing the true magnitude of what she is going through. When his mother finds out, she decides to take her in to live with them. And although Dae-hyun protests at first because he does not understand the whole situation, the family ends up truly opening their door to her. That gesture changes Saint Bile deeply. Because for the first time, she does not feel treated like a nuisance, but like someone they are expecting, taking care of, and considering part of the household. Living with Dae-hyun's family is chaotic, funny, and also very tender. There are ridiculous scares, misunderstandings, and scenes where Saint Bile still moves around as if she does not quite know how to occupy a space she spent years believing she did not deserve. Little by little though, she begins to relax. Dae-hyun's mother scolds her, yes, but in that tone that is actually full of affection and concern. That moves her deeply, because she was never used to someone staying awake waiting for her, getting upset because she left without saying anything, or making her feel that her absence matters. That house becomes the first place in a long time where Saint Bile can let her guard down a little. While that is happening, Yeonju and Dae-hyun keep drifting apart. She spends more time with Sung-joon, avoids Dae-hyun, seems distracted, and little by little the relationship enters a zone where continuing to call it romance almost feels like an effort. Dae-hyun feels it, but it is hard for him to let her go because for a long time he believed that love was the goal. At the same time, Saint Bile keeps taking up more space in his life. Not only inside the store, but in his routines, in his worries, and even in his most intimate moments of sadness or exhaustion. The difference is that with Saint Bile, everything feels more alive, more genuine, and less forced. When Kang Ji-wook finds Saint Bile living in poor conditions, he gets very upset with Dae-hyun for not having protected her better. He convinces her to go live with him, or at least to stay somewhere more decent, and for a time it seems like he could become someone much more important in her life. Ji-wook takes care of her, listens to her, and understands her. But Saint Bile, although she cares about him deeply, still looks at Dae-hyun in a different way. That detail is not lost on Ji-wook, and that is where one of the drama's most delicate triangles begins. He knows he can offer her stability, support, and respect, but he also knows that her heart keeps revolving around the shopkeeper who drives her crazy and melts her at the same time. Then comes one of the strongest emotional moments for Saint Bile. She confesses to Dae-hyun that she has been in love with him for 10 years. It is not a passing whim or a recent crush. It is a long, deep feeling she has kept inside, one that goes back to long before he ever thought of her as an important presence. She tells him that she remembers him from his training days, that he was always someone special to her, even when he never knew it. Dae-hyun is overwhelmed. Not because he dislikes the idea, but because he suddenly understands that what for him was a strange and forgettable encounter was, for Saint Bile, the beginning of something enormous. That confession throws him into inner turmoil, but it also forces him to look straight at everything he has been feeling lately. From there on, the relationship between them changes once again. Dae-hyun begins treating her with more care, more closeness, and more tenderness. It is obvious that he is falling, even though he still does not say it clearly. He gives her more responsibilities at the store, trusts her with important things, and even makes her manager, a gesture that means a lot to Saint Bile because she feels that, beyond love, he is finally recognizing her real worth. He also tries to leave Yeonju behind. He even tells Saint Bile that thanks to her he is truly managing to get over that relationship. But just when it seems like they are about to move forward, the same old problems return. Social pressure, Yeonju's past, Kang Ji-wook's jealousy, and family difficulties. One of the ugliest conflicts explodes when Eun Bae-yeol's former acquaintances begin blackmailing her with old photos and videos. They want money, influence, and to take advantage of her growth as an artist. Saint Bile tries to handle it, but this time she has an additional problem. She promised Dae-hyun that she would not use violence again. Because of that, she endures hits, humiliation, and provocation without responding the way she would have before. That costs her a lot, because it goes against the instinct that has followed her all her life. But she does it because she knows Dae-hyun wants to see her move forward along another path. In the end, when everything gets even worse and they even leak material online to damage Eun Bae-yeol's image and Saint Bile's as well, she decides to fight in another way. She gets the phone that contains the real evidence and hands it to a journalist, allowing the truth to come out and making it clear that neither she nor her sister were the villains in that story. In that same scandal, a rumor also comes out about a supposed romance between Bile and Kong Ji-wook. Far from taking advantage of it, he publicly clears everything up and explains that he takes care of Bile and Baeol out of gratitude and because of the genuine affection he feels for them. That gesture closes his arc in a very beautiful way. Ji-wook does not manage to become Bile's love, but he does become a loyal and sincere friend. When the time comes for him to go abroad for work, she hugs him and makes it clear that he is someone very important to her. He accepts that place with sadness, yes, but also with maturity. In the middle of all those storms, Dae-hyun finally makes up his mind. He brings Bile flowers and confesses what he feels, asking her to make things official with him. She is shocked, happy, but also overwhelmed because she is in the middle of exams and 1,000 problems at once, so she asks him for time to answer. Even so, the moment marks a before and after. It is no longer about strange tension or an almost romance. Dae-hyun finally puts into words that he loves her too and that he no longer wants to keep treating her like just an important employee. The problem is that just when it seems they can finally move forward, family pressure appears again. Dae-hyun's mother insists that he should marry Yeon-ju, not for love, but because that would raise the family's status and open doors that had always been closed to them. Bile overhears those conversations and feels devastated. Even if they love her in that house, she also understands that she is still the girl who does not completely fit into that world. So she decides to leave a letter for Dae-hyun, and disappear for a while. She goes to work on a farm, trying to create distance so she will not keep being a burden. But even far away, she is still Bile. When she sees some boys mistreating someone else, she steps in to defend him. Violence touches her again because it is the only thing she learned to use for protection, even though she knows Dae-hyun wanted something different for her. When Dae-hyun finds out where she is, he rushes to look for her. He finds her on the farm and once again sees, more clearly than ever, how hard her life had always been. He also witnesses another conflict in which Bile puts herself on the line again to protect him. That time, he tries to handle it calmly, talking and setting boundaries, and although the others keep looking for a fight, he manages to stand his ground differently. That detail does not go unnoticed. Bile realizes that Dae-hyun has grown too. He is no longer just the kind but insecure man from the beginning. Now he is starting to stand up for himself better in front of others and in front of himself. Before leaving, he tells her that he is waiting for her back at the store, convinced that deep down they both know where they belong. After that, Dae-hyun makes a final decision. He resigns from the company and decides to return completely to his store. He leaves behind the possibility of continuing to chase a world that never truly embraced him. Yeon-ju and her mother can no longer offer him anything that weighs more than the peace of becoming himself again. Even when Yeon-ju's mother tries to buy off Dae-hyun's family with money to fix what cannot be repaired, his mother makes it clear that not everything can be solved with cash. That response closes one of the drama's central themes very well. A person's value is not measured by their bank account, but by how they love, how they care, and how they stay standing when things are hardest. In time, Bile finds out that Dae-hyun has definitely left that other job and returned to the store. There, she finds a sign looking for an employee, but not just any employee. One named Young Bile. It is Dae-hyun's way of saying that he is still waiting for her, that her place has not been taken by anyone, and that their story is still open. She walks in, looks at him, and finally gives him the answer she had been holding back. She accepts being with him, accepts that love she had been waiting for over the years, and decides to stop running from what she feels. There is no longer any need to hide it or disguise it with jokes, jealousy, or excuses. The two of them finally choose each other openly. End of the drama.